Spiritual blindness. As you know, all the miracles in the Gospels are parables. Only some miracles are mentioned. How many miracles the Lord must have done? Only some are mentioned because they are parables, teaching us something about God and about ourselves. In the Bible, physical blindness is a symbol of spiritual blindness. Spiritual blindness is the incapacity to see things correctly. To fail to have the right perspective. Looking things correctly means you have a God's eye view. Seeing correctly means to see what really matters and what doesn't matter in the whole, in the big picture. Seeing correctly means you understand, you realize what your life is all about. Seeing correctly means you understand, you remember where you are going. So seeing correctly means you are able to see, go beyond yourself and look at the picture, the big picture all the time. The big picture all the time. Because the temptation all the time is to look at yourself, your small life, your small world, your small room, your small kitchen. You can be so confined to your small world, you fail to see the big picture. On the other hand, you are always focused on what is God's eye view. What is God's perspective on this? How does God look at this? How does God look at me and him and her? Remember the psalm today? The Lord is my light and my salvation. What does it mean? He is the light in which I look at everything. In other words, looking at Jesus and He is the light of the world. In Him, through Him, I can look at the whole world and see things as they are in the eyes of God. They're all very beautiful, meaningful. Everywhere, in everything, His hands are there. In the first reading to about God as the light. God as the light. He will show us the meaning of life, the purpose of life, all of what our life is all about. I shall see the Lord's goodness in the land of the living. Do you see that? A good question. Do you see the Lord's goodness here right now? Do you see the Lord's goodness in your life? Or is your life all grumbling and murmuring, complaining with a long face, all your life in misery? Or do you see the God's goodness in the land of the living? I mean, everybody, in everything you see the Lord's goodness and you rejoice. Lord is my light. I can see all His goodness in everybody. In short, spiritual sight is this. If your life is surrendered to the grace of God, if you have given yourself to the grace of God, and you rejoice in the goodness of God in the midst of all your sufferings and confusion, in the midst of all that you have given yourself to the grace of God, and you rejoice in Him, because in His sight, in His light, you are looking at your life and everything in a different way. You can see far beyond the grave.